What's going on, everybody? My name is Zach Hartley, and in this video we're going to do an update, a review, and a breakdown on the most recent quarter from Drone Delivery Canada. We have got record revenue, we've got crashing drones, we've got major red flags on the balance sheet that we need to talk about. So this one's going to be wild. Let's jump right in. Okay, so to start us off here, we always like to begin with the balance sheet. The balance sheet tells us the story of how the company got to where they're at, and so far this balance sheet looks pretty healthy. They have $14 million in current assets, and they only have $1.13 million in current liabilities. That is a healthy balance sheet. When you look at how much cash they have relative to 1 quarter ago, they're burning or going through about $2.5 million in cash, or at least that's the difference in this time period here. So they've got some runway here, not a ton of pressure, but it's definitely something they need to be mindful of. They have very low liabilities, which is nice, so they don't have a lot of debt. But one thing that just sticks out like a sore thumb to me here, and it's a bit of a red flag in my mind, is this number here for deferred revenue. It comes in at $47,000. That number was back in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I want to say at the end of the year last year, it was right around $100,000. And so deferred revenue is that kind of pipeline of customers that are lining up to pay this company for their services. And as that deferred revenue gets smaller, it means that their pipeline is also getting smaller. So that is something that I am watching for very carefully. I want to keep an eye on that, and I would really ideally like to see that number grow. Now, when it comes to the income statement here, the company knocked it out of the park in terms of revenue. They put up $575,000 in revenue, which is a record number for the company. They have never come close to that before, so that is very, very nice. Congratulations, Drone Delivery Canada. That's a nice big number. That's great for the company. When it comes to operating expenses, it looks like the majority of their operating expenses went down. They cut back about $500,000 worth of expenses compared to the same period of last year, which is really, really nice to see. It looks like some of the biggest cutbacks in expenses came in the personal expenses area right here and in consulting. So that is kind of like trimming the fat on the company, and I like to see that. I think that's actually a really good thing, and that's probably Steve Majerius coming in and saying, hey, let's make sure that everything that's here is something that's needed. So I commend him on that. I think this is good. I like to see these expenses coming down while revenue is going up. That is exactly what you want to see as an investor. When it comes to the company, though, they're still losing money. Their net loss for the quarter was $2.5 million. When you look at their cash flow statement, they're burning like $2.3 million. So somewhere between 2 and 2.5 million per quarter, and they've got 12.5 or $12.8 million in the bank. So you could say 5 quarters worth of runway would just be a conservative, tentative guess, but you really need to kind of dig into that if you're really concerned about it. Now, when it comes to revenue, let's talk about how they achieved that record revenue. And they gave us a little bit of information, but not a lot. They said that the increase in revenue is due to the inclusion of the Edmonton International Airport and the DSV Halton Healthcare contracts that went operational subsequent to March 31st, 2022. In addition, the company also recorded revenue from the sale of the Condor to the Canadian government as part of the contract with Innovative Solutions Canada, also known as ISC. So they were bringing in drone revenue, but they also sold a Condor to the government of Canada through this Innovative Solutions Canada contract. And that is really, really interesting because they don't tell us how much they sold the Condor for. They don't really tell us what the margins look like on the Condor. And so they kind of leave us hanging there, and they don't give us a lot of information. But they did sell one Condor to the Canadian government. And then unfortunately, it goes on to say, subsequent to the March 31st, 2023, the Condor that was delivered to ISC, or the Canadian government, experienced an accident that resulted in a total loss of the aircraft while conducting tests during the first phases as related to the ISC contract. And so I made a video about their year-end financials, and honestly, it wasn't a very positive video. I kind of tore into them a little bit, and then like a day or two later, they announced that they had just signed this contract with the government of Canada and launched it with their Condor. And now we're finding out that unfortunately, that Condor that they sold to them was a total loss because it crashed. And so unfortunately, not a great start to their biggest contract that they've had as far as I'm aware. Not a great start to the first contract with the Condor. Not a great start considering it's like just 1 or 2, maybe 3 months after that announcement, which is not very good. Now, like I said, they don't tell us how much they sold the Condor for, and they don't tell us what the margins are. So I did my own kind of personal investigation here. Based on the information that we had at year end last year, we calculated all of the flights and the distances that they were traveling, and they were averaging out to about $120 per kilometer of flight time. Now, in their operational improvements from the management discussion and analysis, they announced that they did 1,800 kilometers in the most recent quarter, and at $120 per kilometer, that would work out to about $216,000 in flight revenue, which is actually very in line with their revenue from the last 2 quarters. And so this would make a lot of sense if they did around this $200,000 to $250,000 in flight revenue, but that would also mean that the Condor that they sold to the Canadian government came in around that $350,000 mark. So that's really, really interesting that yes, they did $500,000+ in revenue, but it looks like at least half of that might have come from the sale of the Condor that has now crashed. And so kind of unfortunate. Not totally sure what I think of that in my head yet. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Like, obviously it's good that the revenue has gone up, but is it good that most of the revenue came from the sale of one Condor? And well, unfortunately now this is the situation we're in. So it's something that you kind of have to take into consideration here. The other thing that I didn't like is that in the management discussion and analysis, every quarter that I have looked at, dating back all the way to 2018, has had a budget versus an actual expenditure in that basically analysis that they give to investors that we can see so that we know where they're spending the money and how much they are spending. And they have totally removed that from this management and discussion and analysis that has just come out. If I've missed it or it's somewhere else, please let me know, but I was unable to find it, and it kind of caught me off guard here. Like, are they changing things up? Do they not want to show it to us? Did they just miss it, or did they run out of room? I'm not sure what the answer is, and so it just raises question marks, especially since that budget has been in the management discussion and analysis, as far as I can tell, since 2018. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, when it comes to the stock chart here, we've got a couple things going on. Number one, we've kind of bounced off this 40 level twice here in the last sort of month or two. This big spike in volume and price move right here was actually the announcement about the Government of Canada contract. So that's how recent this was. And so, like I said, just in a matter of 2 months there, they delivered the Condor and then crashed the Condor, unfortunately. Now, what I'm watching for is a bounce off 40 cents. I would like to see it break through this kind of 48, 49 cent area and start to move higher. If you cross through 55, that would be a very, very positive sign of a bullish trend. As you can see, we're starting to have a couple of consecutively higher lows, which is a very nice sign. We got a lot of nice kind of bullish signals that are starting to show up on the chart here. We just don't have great confirmation yet, and it'd be nice to get a little bit more information about what happened with the Condor, about the margins on the Condor, about how much they sold it for, and things like that. So when it comes to my thoughts, and again, these are all just my thoughts and opinions, take this all with a grain of salt. Number one, it was nice to see the revenue go up. Number two, I'd like to see more information about the Condor, what they're trying to sell it for, what the margins look like, things like that. Number three, deferred revenue is down from the year end, which is not nice to see, but the balance sheet is healthy, so kind of a good and bad there. And like I said, the stock seems to have some support at 40 cents. I have not bought into it yet. I have made like 4 trades in the last week or two though, and I post all of those trades into my Discord chat. So if you want to see that, you want to see my analysis, my research, and my actual trades, you can check out my Discord chat. It's $10 per month. The link is down below. You can ask me anything. You can see my analysis. And I'm trying to build a community of traders where we can share our research, share our trades, share our analysis, so that we're not all sitting at home alone trying to figure this out by ourselves. We can be part of a community designed to help each other. So that's what I'm trying to build. If you're interested in anything like that, the link is down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck trading. Good luck investing. We'll talk to you soon.